defaulting, rather than increasing the cost for the entire sector.
That's what they
you
did.
must be, yeah. So I mean that's my answer, but probably I wouldn't be able to argue as to why ECGC did this, because I wouldn't know.
I can
but
understand.
we'll
Raising this issue was in longer interest is going to affect the country's exports.
I do agree that it cannot be across the board. Ideally, it must have been targeted, or it must increasingly move towards risk-based. So what are the challenges they have in introducing risk-based? We had our own challenges. I mean, although we are nearly there, we have still not been able to implement the risk premium for the deposit insurance corporate. Because one of the, I can now discuss this with you, one of the issues that was getting debated was that by Reserve Bank of India itself collecting a higher risk premium from a bank, are we giving a signal to the depositors that the bank has a problem?
True.
So these are the issues. So this has to be done, but the answer to what you say, the only answer is it has to move towards risk-based. But what are the difficulties, I wouldn't know, but next time I meet Shankar in a Exim Bank board meeting, I'll certainly ask this question.
Sir, they don't want to meet the smaller exports. They just say that follow the channel. We have been trying.
No, it is probably not. I think the outcome is being interpreted, but probably what they should have done is to explain to you better why this outcome. So I wouldn't say that they are not interested in smaller exporters.
Can RBI do something?
No, I think we need to move on. We can ask this separately, but maybe
Fair
other
enough.
questions. Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Amit. Hello. Yeah. I run a firm like Biju does in the FX risk consulting market. I used to work for a bank. So on the issue which you raised, that the current hedging guideline says that if your size is beyond X crores, then can you do options of a certain kind. I just want to tell you a live instance, and how we could we have a client who's a large importer of fruits, right? And the owner of that company has himself dealt in the FX market in US, and he knows it very well. Now you said a point that the guy would hedge, he will compare the hedging cost versus his expectation in the exchange rate price movement. Now this guy says that if I hedge through a forward contract, I'm paying so much of premium, and in my business margins are only 2%, and my competitor is not hedging. He's taking a risk on that. So he approached the bank that I know this market very well. I am willing to do a structure 1:1 and not going beyond that, so that my cost is. Bank did not even, it seems, approach RBI, because they said they have tried in past and RBI said, no, we will never do it. Now, my point is that this whole guidelines came in 2008 when a lot of corporates disputed. Now, if the corporate is saying that I know everything, I am willing to take the risk, should that not be allowed? Because what is happening, he has stopped taking any cover and keeping the whole risk open.
Okay, I'll answer that. I think it's good that you raised that question. First of all, if you ask me a question that whether what happened as far as these derivatives are concerned, was it on account of 100% mis-selling by the banks, probably I would say no. Because nobody asked this question, or nobody asked about, raised the issue of mis-selling when the mark-to-market was a profit. When mark-to-market turns against you, you say that I've been mis-sold. So I've never understood this logic. But having said that, I don't think it is that these banks did not go overboard, at least in respect of some of the structures which they sold to the exporters. Some of these structures are absolutely obnoxious. Now, when this came to me before I left this area, then moved to the other areas and came back, I put a simple rule. The simple rule is that today you are allowing a customer not to hedge. So his losses on account of any of the possible structures cannot be more than an unhedged position. In other words, any kind of a structure which is a leverage structure is not to be allowed. This was a simple method, but then this got complicated because people started selling that this can be said only when the contract runs the full term I will do all sorts of manipulations in between by booking and cancelling. The second issue that came about was that when we said that you will have to tell us, explain to us how you have priced this product. We are reasonable in asking this question. They say this got priced out of our London branch. That cannot be the way that things are done. So then, but please remember this, as a regulator, when this issue comes, when there are questions in the parliament, the parliamentary committees after that, there is an Orissa High Court case filed against the bank. The way the regulator works world over is they closed down everything. That is what happened. Now, then they opened up and talked about this. The rationale also was not bad. The rationale was that there must be a risk-bearing capacity which requires a certain size of balance sheet. That is where they put the 200 crore, 100 crore, or whatever be that number. But does it take away even, say, a combination of a knock-in and knock-out, or your hedge within a range? These were the issues which probably did not get articulated or thought through beyond a point, because there Reserve Bank was under pressure for acting. Now I am saying that yes, this is already work in progress, that probably we have reached a stage where as long as the leverage is not happening and I have the right to take a decision that I want protection only within a range and I don't want anything more, at least those structures must be restored so that people started hedging more. So this is work in progress. Hopefully, I think my colleague Misra is somewhere here, and already that work in progress has started, and that should come out soon.
So I have one more comment. The question that hello. Yeah, the question was raised about giving correct prices by banks to the corporates, and you said there should be increased transparency.
No, I would correct you to say that what he was talking about, or what we need to be talking about, is a fair price. There is nothing called a correct price. Okay.
So see, is there a possibility? I have been on a bank side also earlier, so I know. Is that fairness, as he also mentioned, was sometimes you charge 1 paisa, sometimes you charge 4 paisa, and if my colleague is talking to you on the bank side and he's not knowing the market, you will charge 10 paisa also. Okay, so at least in my experience, I have seen some banks give these commercial understandings in writing to the client in a sanction letter. If I deal with you, my margin is 3 paisa. If I deal with you, 10 paisa. Some banks don't want to give also. I will never give it to you. So it's a large part of a commercial engagement between bank and the corporate. So why should not be in writing? And there is no policy on it. Like in a card where they charge only 100 rupees, 200 rupees, there is a policy. Or maybe there is some guide. Here there is no guideline also. Linked question, sir, a linked comment I want to make here. This is, see, I don't know from where it comes, but see, as a corporate, if I measure each expense, if in my P&L I see an expense, I will brainstorm with my team to cut out on that expense to become more profitable, more efficient. However, the FX price which I pay out to the bank is not visible, because it's an earning for the bank, it's an expense for me, but that expense is not shown in my books also. So I don't know how much expense am I making. I am a company of 100 crore, he is also a company of 100 crore. We are in the same business. My expense may be 1 crore, his expense may be 25 lakhs. But I should know that. And so in this whole ecosystem, there is one entity bank for whom it's an income, one entity for whom it's an expense, but then expense is not known.
Yeah, but I would probably enter into an argument with you, which cannot be concluded here. We will do it separately, to call a hedging as an expense.
No, sir, not hedging here.
No, I'll come to that. Now, to compare between two companies, if you are saying in terms of the fineness of that rates that he gets, that's an issue that has to be debated. But then ultimately how the banks function, as we understand, is that they take into account the whole value that the customer brings, not only the FX. So that From the bank side, I mean, let me not take one side completely always. That's one thing. And secondly, to the answer that sometimes I get a margin of 1 paise and 4 paise, I am not saying that this is the explanation, but there could be an explanation depending upon the size of the transaction and the volatility that is happening in the market. So by the time I go and hedge because I take a marketable lot and go to the market, there could be difference. So there are several reasons, although I am not dismissing this as a non-issue, but people should appreciate that, yes, it looks obnoxious from your side, your point of view, but there may be a rational explanation for the market as a whole. But whether that is the explanation which led to this difference, I wouldn't be able to say, because we are looking at all these things in retrospect.
And ask the chief legal central bank quoting these points, both everybody has said that there are 8 different rates for the different customers and there are different rates for the different transactions. You are, like you said that this is depending on the marketable lot. And comparing to that the bank wise, for one of the customers, for one customer, one bank is charging 1 paisa and the other bank is charging 2 paisa. Coming to that point, normally what the business he is getting, including the forex business, it matters. And all the banks, okay, I worked earlier in some other banks also, all the banks, they are having, basing on the lot size, they are having the margins, which is, if they want for most of the customers, it can be disclosed. It is not that one, that is the board approved margins. Yes, for some of the customers, they have given some concessional margin. Based on the forex turnover, they are bringing it to that one. Now, one question to your point, the most of the oil marketing companies, whose they are asking the quotes, they said that one, now you are blaming that one, we are charging more margin or less margin or no margin. I will call that one. Here, is there any prescription laid down by the RBI? You need to charge at least these kind of margin.
No, we are not.
The reason behind that one.
No, but we are not. But I thought that comparing the oil marketing companies with SMBs are just, I think probably we are going too far.
No, sir. Not that way. Here, the first point is they are telling that one, in most of the cases, you are charging for one customer 1 paisa, for the other customer 10 paisa.
No. I mean, let's not get into the nuances of the words used or all these things. Now, one side of the, and I have been in such seminars for so many years, as Venkatesh would say. So the issue that I face always is that the corporates, the customer side tend to argue that they are all angels, banks are all devils, and the banks exactly opposite, you argue the other way around. I know the reality lies somewhere in between. So we are trying to find a solution which will make sure, because today if you say that if some of the rates, I mean, we need to go do a research on that. I know a case where when somebody platform for ensuring that this SMB rates are collated and given, there was a huge kind of opposition from several interested stakeholders until I had to take a meeting and say that no, this has to be allowed. There has to be competition in the market. Now, again to answer why I said I found this little bit surprising was, the oil marketing companies, one of the solutions to that, you could say that they let them go for competitive quotes. But an SMB, MSME, it is not possible for him to go to 3 banks and ask for a quote. It just doesn't work. So there is some kind of a solution that has to be found so that there is more fair pricing. Today, the cross subsidization that is happening in a portfolio that you run is something that cannot be disputed. But within that, how do we ensure that there is an increased fair play all around? That's the only issue that are arising. I don't go back, and I am not going to give you the instruction that you quote margin of 1 paise. Please be assured of that.
Sir, just sir, my name is Kamla. I am also a consultant to corporate in the risk management stream. Taking cue from your point on the gold imports ban and how this is now given rise to a lot of smuggling and hawala market, I just want to know What's a work in progress? What's the timeline that we can expect that, RBI is completely aware of what's happening. So when can we expect some of these bans to be lifted?
The honest answer is we don't know. Because this involves consultation with the government also, and all these things are, if you ask me how much of Hawala market or this thing has happened, this is all impressionistic. We think that this has happened because one of the things we also keep looking at is that whether the remittances have started coming down overall, because that could get diverted for this gold. The other thing is the kind of premiums that happen in the market. So these all give indication or suggestion that possibly these are getting diverted. But the point is that the restoration status quo ante probably may take a little more time. But what is being debated is where some of these restrictions can be sort of removed gradually, because one of the other things that is happening is that these kind of restrictions in one way created certain unequal level playing field among some of the players in the market. So that again got into the problem. The other issue is whether we can make this gold deposit scheme or anything else attractive enough to channelize the local gold. That there is an issue. Though the problem was that when you had unbridled gold import allowed and the gold deposit scheme, the way in which the gold deposit scheme was happening was completely nonsensical according to me. Because basically if your idea is to recycle the domestic gold, then you must have a domestic book and a foreign currency book. The way the banks implemented, because that's the only way they could implement, was that if Tirupati Devasam gives them some gold, they will take that gold and give this gold to some jeweler who will convert it to jewelry. They will give them money and they will import gold. So all that it ensured that it probably postponed the import by an X period, but it never led to substitution of import. Ideally, a gold deposit scheme should lead to a substitution of import.
But did that take off at all, sir?
It took off in a small way, but it never went beyond a point. Never went beyond a point because today we have a culture where even the temples, I can understand families saying that gold is required. Now temples also say that gold will have to remain as gold. Then there is a problem.
No, just to substantiate your point, there's not so much a question, just a point. I advise one of the largest gold retailer in South. You were saying the premium on the gold and the remittances are some of the pointers. I can tell you the sales has only been growing and the imports are banned. So, rest is left to everyone's imagination.
Of course, the other thing we have to ensure from a central bank side, I cannot run away from this, is that you will have to give a real return for other investments also. Why people move to gold is probably the return on gold is much more than the real estate, given the inflation remaining at this level. So inflation adjusted return must be positive. That's the other challenge for the central bank. Yeah. Somebody else?
Sir.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ashish and I come from a bank. My question is related to...
Is the bank's name confidential?
ING Bank, sir. Sir, you have just stated that whenever RBI intervenes in the market, it is to manage volatility and not to target a particular